I'm going to be straightforward with this intro. I'm not trying to waste your time with a stupid long intro. So, everyone should know what an iceberg is and what NPT is. If you're watching this not knowing what either one is, I don't know how the hell you found this video or what you're doing here. But that's all besides the point, so let's just get started with the tip of the iceberg. TP device glitch. This is one of the most known glitches in NPT. Everyone who's used the TP device probably already knows what I'm talking about and how annoying it is. All that can really be said about this is when you try to teleport, you TP outside the map, either resulting in your death or a never-ending freefall. The second variation of this glitch is when you hit the little tiny parts that are just floating around in the air, just causing you to fall in the same place you were already in. Inside the trees. This bug explains itself. You should know what this means. If you're using the TP gun and you aim it at the trunk of the tree and teleport to it, it just puts you inside the tree. It's pretty useful at times, but no one should really be using that. Ion Blaster Spawn Kill. The name of this is pretty self-explanatory. If you repetitively shoot someone with the Ion Blaster, it avoids the force field, which is one of the most annoying features in the game in my opinion. You can achieve the Ion Blaster so easily, so it just makes the game not fun when you have servers of just people using the Ion Blaster to spawn kill you. And to be fair, I'm not even sure this was supposed to be an intended feature. Minigun fire rate. When you use the code The Return, you get a minigun which has no fire rate limit on it if you use an auto clicker on it. The only thing limiting you from shooting it infinitely fast is Roblox, and I guess your PC as well. This is one of the most common glitches I see on NPT. Usually the other person assumes that they're exploiting or hacking, but that's just not the case. It is very annoying though, I'm not gonna lie. Flamethrower Fling. This bug is very straightforward as well. All you have to do is stand on someone's head with the flamethrower equipped and wait for them to fling. I'm not exactly sure why this happens, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the flamethrower having a fairly large hitbox. When some players equip the flamethrower, they just completely go invisible while their body goes far outside the map. This is most likely caused because the flamethrower is anchored outside the map for some reason. Glitched Green Team. This was referring to how the two mini islands in the back of your base never work on the green team. The slots in the back of the island have no movement scripts inside of them, preventing you from placing anything on them. The only way to fix this as far as I know is to use exploits to place items on them manually, or just straight up rejoin. Green team tends to not load fairly often, unlike the other teams, probably caused by the islands in the back missing scripts, causing the loading to not work properly. Member loading error. When you join the Ice Cold Studio Roblox group, your loading tends to last way longer, usually up to 2 to 3 minutes. I'm pretty sure this happens because the group changed the level on the community rank, causing somewhere in the loading script to fail. Probably because ranks are identified with levels in the game scripts. More evidence proving this is how other ranks did not change in their level, and they were completely fine with loading. And to be honest, it's not even worth joining the group for the minigun and the katana. They both suck, and I'm not really going to waste 2 minutes every time I want to join the game. Shift place cell. Most players are aware that when you hold shift while placing any item, it allows you to place multiple of them. The same concept applies with selling items. Clicking on an item while holding shift instantly sells it. Sadly, mobile players and Xbox players do not have any way of doing this, and have to place each item manually. Rebirth Island. Everyone who's achieved 5 rebirths is very familiar with the little 5x5 island that pops up behind your base after obtaining 5 rebirths. It's mostly used for spawning your reserve or spawning in a spawn point, but in my opinion I just use it for producers and generators. Orange fog. Back in the older days of NPT, there was an update releasing an orange fog. It only lasted for a few weeks before it eventually got removed. This update was released around October of 2017, and personally, I don't know what they were doing with this update. Nothing can really be said about it besides the fact that it just made harder for me to shoot other people with the bazooka and you couldn't see other people's bases. If you played during this update, congrats, you're an OG. 100% shinies. Apparently no one knows about this, but shinies are based off of multiplier. It's fully explained in the dev forums, but I guess you can't really rely on a bunch of 10-year-olds to scout out the description and understand what it means. But nothing can really be said about this. The only reason I included it was to inform people that I'm not hacking and I'm just playing like everyone else. Old chat colors. In the Ice Cold Studio group, the 4 ranks that had chat colors were head scripter, developers, mods, and veterans, with the head scripters and devs having a yellow chat, mods having a pink, and veterans having a blue chat. The updated chat colors now are head scripters and devs having chats that are orange, mods have chats that are blue, contributors have chats that are blue, and vets have green chat. I do remember someone having a red chat color, but I think that was done with commands and no rank actually has that color. Working punch. Punching in Nuclear Plant Tycoon only works with the default block arms. Once again, I have no idea why it's like that. I'm sure Acurol just forgot to script it to work with other variation of arms, but I could be wrong and it's just broken. Infinity Blade. In 2016 through 2017, there was a stronger variation of the katana in-game. You could buy it for $100 million and it was a one-hit slice. It did pretty decent amount of damage against defenses from what I remember, and it was always my go-to when killing people's walls. Sadly, it was removed in 2018, but it still exists in the slideshow of the game, when the picture of the 2 guys that are standing next to the Electro Moon appears. Mod weapons. The moderators in the game had multiple exclusive weapons that they could give themselves. The weapons being the gravity gun, a scythe, and a paddle. The gravity gun can control the player into moving wherever the mod moved their mouse. Whenever you hit someone with the paddle, they flung into the direction that you hit them. And the scythe was just simply a reskin of the Infinity Blade with new animations and a longer range. Veteran. In the Ice Cold Studio group, you were able to obtain a veteran rank by being in-game for more than 10 hours before 2018. The bot that controlled giving you the rank no longer works and the rank is unobtainable. The only way I see someone getting the rank back is by asking Acreol to give it back, but that's very unlikely. 50 million money. The 50 million money is a developer product allowing players to buy 50 million in-game currency for 2,000 Robux. People find this slightly odd considering that you can just buy infinite money for 1,500 Robux. Not only are you getting less money for more of a cost, but you could just simply buy infinite money, spend 50 million, and then delete the game pass. But who am I telling people how to spend their Robux? Double player glitch. This glitch actually happens on behalf of Roblox, but when the server somehow gets 5 out of 4 players, a second player will end up on the blue team. For a while nothing will happen, but eventually the game will kick the second player, causing them to take the first person's saved base. This has happened to me several times and it gets annoying after a while because you have to restart multiple times. The Arrival. This was supposed to be a remake of NPT with a remade map and remade items. The rebirthing and base concepts were completely different, with rebirth requiring arcs to rebirth instead of money per second. And the base had more slots, but they were much smaller and the generators and producers took up multiple spots. You could also have multiple layers to your base, but to be completely honest, everything was just so much more simple and easy in the original. Multiple items in one slot. If you play on mobile, sometimes you can get the item movement to bug and place multiple items in one spot. Only the original item works in that spot though. You can visually see all the items in that one spot, but other people can only see the original item. If you set multiple items to place in one spot with exploits on PC, you will get the exact same result. No number abbreviations. In the 2016 era of NPT, the money counters did not have any abbreviations like K, M, B, or T, making the numbers in the billions or higher go off screen or go in scientific notation. Even the GUI money counter on the left side of the screen ended up going off the side of the screen. But later, in 2016, abbreviations were added, making everything look much more clean. Generator and Producer 14, and Gearworks Gen. In 2017, the final generator and producer had no name and were models of SpongeBob and Patrick. These items were simply just a placeholder for future items. Before producers and generators 18 and 14 were modeled, they were also models of SpongeBob and Patrick. Gearworks Gen was just a joke and never had a producer to go with it. But it can be used to power toxic silos if you use 2 of them. But I probably wouldn't recommend this as it just costs more money and wastes more spots. RBS. The Rebirth Squad was an old clan for NPT made by one of the mods. In order to join, you need to have 5,000 rebirths and put RBS in your Tycoon name with a special alt code character that they gave you. RBS also had its own Roblox group for the members to join, containing an RBS hoodie that you could buy if you were in RBS. The group cannot be found anymore and was most likely deleted. 5 times shinies. 5 times money increases your multiplier, therefore giving you a higher chance to obtain shinies, making the 5 times money game pass the second most overpowered game pass that you can get. Some people may argue that 5 times is better than Inf because it just doesn't completely break the game like Inf does, but I guess this is based on your perspective. Bazooka requirements. In 2017, the bazooka was introduced to NPT at only 30 rebirths to get it, meaning a lot of average players were just able to get the bazooka and destroy the game. Later that year, the requirement was raised to 150, which is a much more reasonable number, but still people abuse it anyways. Like, just calm down, no one needs to blow the entire server away. Bazooka missile range. The bazooka's missile has a limited range and seems to disappear after around 30 minutes. Flying away from it at perfect speeds with exploits for about 30 minutes just causes it to despawn. It probably despawns because of the distance away from its original point rather than the time it's been flying though. I assumed this because the scripts on the missile don't have it to set despawn, but then again I don't understand why it would disappear from going far away in the first place. Broken Tycoon name. Your Tycoon name allows you to use breaks in it by performing the command Ctrl-J. You can cover the entire leaderboard with whatever you want or move your Tycoon name to other people's. This works in the Roblox chat too, but it erases the breaks after you have the message sent. Reserve ratio. This is referring to the set amount of money you steal from a person while you're on their reserve. Most people believe that the more money the person has you're stealing from, the more money you'll get, which is actually not true most of the time. The amount of money you get is based on how much money you have. You'll always take 1% of your own cash unless the person you're stealing from has less money than you. Then you make 1% of their cash. Slime gun laser. The laser on the slime gun is only visible to you, making it a great way to kill players without them seeing you. Although the slime gun sucks and you probably won't be able to kill them quick enough. Not much else can be said about this other than the slime gun needed 10 rebirths before and now it needs 15. Particles. Particles is a command that activates an effect from a t-shirt you can buy from the ICS group. Macros. Macros can be used to place your generators and producers for you in order to rebirth. Many popular Inf money users like to use this method to get high rebirths within days. You can find some of these macros by looking them up on Google or finding recommendations on YouTube. Frozen Ion Beam. If you ever shoot the Ion Blaster then proceed to fall in the void or die, the beam stays in the same spot without disappearing, staying there until the server shuts down. When you walk inside the beam, it doesn't harm you or do any damage. Same goes for buildings, and you can make a literal disco party in a server. 98765432210. There's nothing too significant about this number other than it's the highest rebirth in the game via admin commands. This was achieved by none other than Shiro the Rebel, and according to him he makes about 16 HX in 1 second. Old generator and producer animations. Back in 2016, oil rigs and a few other items had moving animations to make them look more realistic, but were later removed because they lagged lower NPCs. A few examples of these animations can be found on YouTube if you look hard enough, and personally, I think they should have just added a button to prevent the lag, just turn them off, because it just would have been a great feature to have in the game. Vote for song. In some older variations of NPT, there used to be a GUI that popped up giving you 3 options of music that you wanted to listen to, all of them generally being pop songs at the time, and was later removed most likely because all of the copyrighted songs were removed by Roblox later that year. Although they could have kept the same feature with non-copyrighted songs, it probably wouldn't have been as great as before. Anti-cheat. I'm gonna be honest with you, the NPT anti-cheat barely exists and only stops you from activating infinite money with exploits. It kicks you before you can even obtain 100 HX, so there's no luck in trying to cheat your way into getting infinite money for free. Negative money. The guns in NPT don't have a script that require you to have enough money to buy the gun. The only thing stopping you from buying the gun is the GUI, but with exploits you can just execute the buy gun function over and over again and your money will go into the negatives. This also bypasses the amount of rebirths you need to buy a gun, meaning you can buy an Ion Blaster at rebirth 1 if you really wanted to. Shiny Reserve. The Shiny Reserve actually has no color changes to it at all, most likely because the model for the reserve is not owned by Acuriol and he simply did not want to put it out of the game, recolor it, and then add it back into the game. Although there is a tiny part inside the model that does change color from orange to blue. You can't see this object unless you haven't fully loaded in or you're not loading in correctly. Gameplay Smoothed. NPT moved places in mid-2017 to a whole new place, abandoning the old one. This was because Acuriol didn't like the ratio of likes and dislikes, so in an attempt to fix the ratio, he moved the game to a new place, with everyone's stats intact and hoped for the best. The new game ended up having a worse ratio than the old one anyways. This also made the release date of NPT seem to be in the mid-2017s, despite it actually being released in the mid-2016s. Old button layout. The oldest button layout in NPT only contained buttons for producers, generators, weapons, the game passes, buy money, and gifts. There was no settings, defense, or code buttons at the time, and the GUI never changed throughout NPT and always been the same color scheme. Laser cannon death animation. This is referring to how when laser cannons die, they actually don't show a health bar or go transparent. This same bug applies to the howitzer turret. They also seem to be shooting you, but they can't do any damage to you while they're dead. And I'm 99% sure that Acuriol just forgot to add the animation once he added them to the game. And for the longest time, I thought the laser cannons were invincible. 7 producers. In the oldest versions of NPT, there was only 7 producers the player could use in building their base. Most of these producers and their generators are now gone and were replaced in the late 2017s for new models. Although I'm pretty sure most of the models can still be found within the game. Points leaderboard. Around when NPT was featured on Roblox, you would receive 1,000 points every minute, allowing you to compete with other players on a points leaderboard. The leaderboards were found within the servers, store, and recommended buttons, but was later removed in November of 2017. Many people, including myself, were upset about Roblox's decision, but what can you do? The highest recorded amount of points was 208 million by Penguin Friend Forever. However, this was most likely surpassed sometime in 2019. Rebirth exploit. In October of 2020, I discovered a script that allowed you to rebirth at incredible speeds. But a few hours later, it was patched and the highest rebirth speed was set to every 3 seconds. Only a few people know about this before posting this iceberg. HP and OT+. Almost everyone knows that 100 HX is the maximum amount of money you can obtain in the game. And trying to surpass the 100 HX barrier doesn't even work if you obtain it without having infinite activated. So trying to find anything past HX would be impossible, right? Well, actually in 2020 I discovered that stealing with negative money just causes your money to go down further, meaning I can try and steal all the way past 100 HX. Doing so, I passed 100 HX and the next number ended up being HP. So my money capped around negative 999 HP, but it does go further than that. Soon after that, I tried setting my money amount past 999 HP, but to no avail. It just made my money go blank. But later I tried again, assuming that I might have set it too high, so I tried exactly 1 over 999 HP, causing my money to go into OT. But I never was able to replicate obtaining OT again, and OT is nowhere to be found in the abbreviation script, so I have no damn idea how that's even possible. Because Roblox certainly does not have audio abbreviations for numbers, so OT just remains a mystery. Droppable weapons. Weapons actually can drop if you activate FE God mode with exploits. The guns have a touch interest, allowing you to touch a player with the gun and they pick it up. The guns work pretty normal besides the fact that they can do damage to themselves, probably because the game thinks it's not their gun. Black team. This bug involves the double player glitch. Whenever both players leave at the exact same time, sometimes the tycoon color will change to black for whatever reason. I have no idea how this works at all because the players have nothing to do with the tycoon colors. But the default Roblox color for teams is black if it is not assigned a color. But that still doesn't explain why it changes color in the first place. But I guess this one will remain a mystery. Flipped rebirths and money. To be quite frank, I have no idea what the hell is happening here. Nothing can really be said other than on the leaderboards, your money and rebirth switch spots. Tycoon name filter. All this is referring to is how you can change your tycoon name to something that's currently bypassing the chat filter. But even if the chat filter updates, the bypass will still remain intact. Gen 14 Fling. The model for Generator 14 was not anchored and you can knock it over and stand on its head. But after a while, it'd send both of you flying for no apparent reason, similar to the Flamethrower Fling. I think this happens because of the player model's irregular hitbox. Disaligned islands. 2 of the islands are completely disaligned. This detail is so minor that I never even noticed it for the 5 years I've been playing. The other islands are aligned though, so I'm pretty sure this is just a building mistake by the devs. Short trees. This is another minor detail that I didn't even realize was there until making this iceberg. Thanks to Dint is Epic for informing me of this. But besides that, this is most likely just another building error, since this is the only short tree in the game and it contains the exact same parts as the other trees. NPT Ghost. I'm pretty sure me and my friend are the only people who have ever experienced this, but basically a player would spawn in and they had no username or avatar, but they would still move around and they had no stats. But I'm pretty sure this was just a loading glitch, but even despite that, it's really weird considering that I've never seen or heard about this ever. And last but not least, the dead apparition. Apparently, if you say dead sucks at Valorant 69 times in the chat, a mysterious figure named XX1234 dead XX will appear and start talking shit. Okay, that was just a joke. Just a joke in the iceberg. Just don't take that one seriously. But besides that, you made it through the iceberg, and there's obviously a lot more that could be included, but there's no point in adding the most obvious stuff that everyone knows. And I'm not going to make this an excessively long outro like most YouTubers, so until next time, see ya.